Nikil, I have to admit that your mom really got you in this clip.
Yeah, Shankar, she really did. I'm sensing a theme here. You know, you and Shivani and then my mom and me. Parents just love roasting their kids, huh?
I was just going to say that you'll get your turn someday. Don't worry. What goes around comes around. Hello. Welcome to Chai Across Generations. This podcast is for anyone who wants to explore or improve their relationship with their culture, their relationships with their loved ones in other generations, and ultimately their relationship with themselves. Nikil and I are on this journey ourselves, and we're excited that you're joining us today as we recap our funniest moments in 2023. Nikil, how are you?
I'm good, Shankar. We did a recap last week with some of our favorite lessons from the season, and we thought we would end with something a little bit more festive and fun with just some of our fun moments. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to see the selection of lighthearted, bits from our podcast over the whole year. So,
Yeah.
are you going to tee us off?
Yes, I will tee us off. So our first clip is from a wonderful conversation between Shankar and his daughter Shivani from episode 20, as you may remember, Shankar. This was for Father's Day, and Shivani interviewed you about your experience as a dad. But lo and behold, as any good father would, you had a chance to kind of get back at her in an incredibly entertaining way with some stories about her before the episode was out. So let's take a listen.
Okay, so this is a fun one and possibly very embarrassing for me.
Yeah.
But what is your favorite story from my childhood that best describes my personality?
So, two stories come to mind. One, when you were very young, it was probably Diwali, and we dressed you in this very pretty pavade,
Okay.
which is for our non-Tamil speaking friends. It's a skirt with a lot of gilt and stuff like that, right? It was
Right, with a little top, but that
blouse,
goes to the waist.
yeah. So it was in red, and it was with all the zari and gilt, so it was very beautiful. And we'd taken you to the mall for something. So it was me and my parents. And I had a cell phone, and you took that cell phone and you ran away with it. And at that age, you were very fast. You were a very quick runner, and being rather small, you could dodge people very well. And then you ran away into one of those department stores, and there was no way to find you because all the the shirts and all the clothing that was hanging was at a height that would conceal your head. And at one point I literally had to be bending down and looking for your feet somewhere so I could catch you. This feature of your running around in public places was always a great cause of great concern, especially because we traveled a lot internationally.
Right.
So at one point we had to put you on a leash so you didn't run into the security area.
Oh my god, I hated that leash. I still remember it.
Well, it was only once when we went to
Okay.
Turkey. It was when you were maybe 2 or 3 years old, and it was after 9/11, so we,
Okay.
security had ramped up. Oh, and you did one thing once, which is really, really funny.
What?
So we were at the United check-in, and they have the terminal, and it was late, and I really wanted to get on the flight.
Right.
And you hit the language selection, you hit Hebrew. And I don't know Hebrew. And so I didn't even know how to exit the thing from Hebrew. And it was so frustrating because we were late. And I wanted to get us checked in. And you hit Hebrew. I'll never forget that. Anyway.
That's so funny.
Yes, to you now, but not at the time for us.
Father, you've been through a lot.
Yes, I'm not even done. There's a couple of more stories. You asked for it. What was the other one? Oh, yes. Two more are really funny.
Okay.
So you were really young, and I tried to put you to bed in the crib, and I tried to work after that on a paper or something.
Right.
My professor work. So one of the tricks to putting you to bed, I thought, was to move so gently that once you fell asleep, I could just gently sneak away. So I used to liken this to a reversible process in thermodynamics, which is you take the system through such small changes that each change is reversible. And I would take 10 minutes to gently place you in the crib. And thinking I was done, I would turn around and sneak out.
Right.
And I would sit down at the computer, and 2 minutes later, you would have got out of the crib somehow, and you'd come and say, "What are you doing?" or something like that. At which point, all my efforts at trying to put you to sleep were not. And then finally, I think at one point, I just gave up and said, okay, I'm also going to sleep. So might as well. This is the only way this is going to work.
Dad, I was just encouraging you to have a healthy bedtime.
Yes, I'm sure. And then when you were a little older, this was also concerning sleeping. So once I actually knocked off. And you had this habit of getting up in the morning and opening each eyelid of mine to see if I was awake. And let me recommend that as not a good way to find out if someone is awake. And once when I actually still was asleep, you very kindly thought that my feet were dry. And I used to have this thing called Badger Balm, which is this giant tin of olive oil balm, which is extremely greasy.
Thick.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you kindly applied that over both my feet. And I think you used the entire tin, so my
Oh
feet...
my God.
My feet were just covered in this stuff, and I woke up and I couldn't move because I couldn't put my feet anywhere. They were full of this balm, and I couldn't put them on the sheets, so I was essentially harpooned or marooned on the bed. So
Well, you can't say it didn't come from a place of genuine concern and love, you know.
maybe, but I can't remember. I think I might have got down on my knees and then walked and got a newspaper or something and come after you. So it was a really ridiculous experience. But I mean, if I put my feet on the carpet, it would have all got giant footprints of olive oil balm. So
But
anyway,
you were never bored.
no, it
So
was
there's
never.
that.
It was never boring.
Oh boy, that's pretty iconic. It's pretty good.
Well, Nikhil, I'm glad that you didn't share all the stories from that episode, so I still have a good relationship with my daughter. But next up, we have a funny moment between Nikhil and his cousin Bharat from episode 13, where they talked about what confuses each of them about the other person as cousins who grew up in different continents. Bharat shares a funny story that I'm sure many of our listeners with loved ones in other countries can relate to.
I need your help.
Oh yeah, go on.
I am confused about something that I've seen you do and seen other people in India do.
Yeah, go on.
So whenever I go to India
Yeah.
and I see guys walking around, they are wearing long sleeve shirts.
Mm-hmm.
They're wearing jeans.
Mm-hmm.
They're wearing shoes, usually not flip flops.
Yeah.
And this is in South India, right? In
Yeah.
Tamil Nadu, in like hot weather, 100+ degrees Fahrenheit,
Yeah.
plus humidity. If I was them, I would definitely be wearing shorts and a t-shirt and flip flops. So how is this possible? How is this comfortable?
That's a great question, but I think being brought up in the weather, you don't know it's bad. It's a bad weather. Like we don't know it's a bad weather. Like we just wear jeans because we don't know like it being like that hot in there.
Right.
It felt we thought it was normal.
Mm.
I think that might be the reason. And this is like a small story about like one of your things that I got really confused with.
Mm.
So as a kid, I asked you to do something sweet with me. Something like, can we draw together or something like that?
Okay.
So I've seen these shows as a kid, right?
Yeah.
So it used to be like, who's up for a night of dancing, something like that. That means like who's like ready to go with it. And you said I'm down to draw, something like that.
Mm.
So up and down are opposites, right? It is, right?
Yes.
Am I tripping out?
No, you're right. Up and down are opposites.
Yeah. So as a kid, like down is the opposite of up. And if up means they're ready to go, down means he's not ready to go.
Oh no.
And you said it with a like very enthusiastic. Yeah, I'm down to draw. I was like, oh, maybe he's not interested. So I just like give you your time and ask it like 5 minutes later. Ask it like the next day or something. Nikil, are you down to draw? Yeah, I'm still down to draw. Okay, maybe another time.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, finally I like listen to you using being down to like Perima Peripa. And that's when I realized they use down and up for both being ready to go.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So
Why do you guys do that? Yeah, that's
I know it's a great question. I don't have an answer. So yeah, I guess in the American lingo we say I'm up for this or I'm down for this, and we mean yes.
The same thing.
It means yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah. Did I not come find you after that? If I say I'm down to draw, I didn't seek you out and say, "Leia, let's go draw."
I think I just went to my bed after you
oh,
said you were down
no!
to draw.
All right, well.
Okay, maybe like another time.
Well, I'm glad you were down to podcast.
Yeah.
And up to podcast in whatever form of podcasting. That's hilarious. I have not heard that story before.
Yeah. I saved this for the podcast.
There
I just
you go.
thought about it before the podcast. I just want to say
hot off the press content.
Yeah. I want to get your natural reaction on the podcast.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one I can't defend. That's just very confusing language that we use here. We should standardize it into something, either up or down.
Yeah. And make the other one the opposite of the other one, like it's meant to be.
Right.
And from one family member to another, Nikil also had a really entertaining moment with his mom on episode 14 when he interviewed her for Mother's Day. Nikil, I have to admit that your mom really got you in this clip.
Yeah, Shankar, she really did. I'm sensing a theme here. You know, you and Shivani and then my mom and me. Parents just love roasting their kids, huh? Let's check it out.
So, any secret about Nikil? And I like to share any secret about Nikil.
If you want to, anything you want to tell the listeners?
Yeah, Nikil, he listen to me all the time. I would say most of the time. Sometimes he comes with his
perspective.
Sometimes, not all the time. I'm saying sometimes.
Okay.
So in Tamil they say "Pudicha masalukku moonu kaalu." So that means. How do you say it in English? The rabbit.
The rabbit is 3 legs?
Yeah, only 3 legs.
Yeah.
He doesn't see the fourth one.
Right.
So, so that's a Nikil.
Yeah. So you're saying the rabbit actually has 4 legs, but if someone comes and says there's 3 legs, you just have to agree that it has 3 legs.
Yeah, especially Nikil says that matter. Not all the matters. Some matters Nikil says only, Mom, this rabbit has only 3 legs. I have to say yes. Until he get it.
Yeah, sometimes, when we're upset or angry or frustrated, we just have to listen, like you said.
Yes.
So, similarly, I think, in our interaction, we've learned to just listen sometimes, right? And sometimes with you also, if you're feeling angry or upset, my job is just to listen. You might also say the rabbit is 3 legs.
Yeah.
And
I would do that. I would do that too.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
Mom is doing
but
this.
that's not my place at that point to convince you it has 4 legs.
Yes.
It might just be, okay, let's talk about this 3-legged rabbit.
Today is the mom has only...
Today it only has 3 legs. Yeah.
3 legs. So tomorrow maybe she will agree with 4 legs.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any embarrassing stories about me that you want to share?
Yeah, about Nikil? I love to.
Uh-oh, here we go.
You are in trouble, Nikil.
Yeah.
So when Nikil was in 9th grade, I picked from school every day. So once he got into the van, I used to have a van. I asked him, Nikil, do you know what you want to be? He said, I don't know, Mom. I said,
Every day.
Every single day, I'll ask him. And next question is, did he ask any questions in the classroom? No, Mom. I said, oh my God. So after a while, I gave up. I don't want to ask this question. His face was almost brown all the time. So I couldn't see his face anymore. So now he's doing podcasts. He is asking questions to me. I ask questions in the classroom. Now he's asking questions to me.
Yeah, I was so confused.
Why?
I was wondering, why is she asking me every day what I want to be? I don't know. I don't know anything about the world yet.
But you are in 9th grade. In India, if you're elementary school children, if you ask the elementary school children in India, they said, I want to be a doctor or engineer. Yeah. If they figure out, why can't Nikil figure out in 9th grade?
So this is a big cultural difference, right?
Yes.
Between different countries, different generations. Here, it's not as common to know what you want to be in 9th grade. But I remember also thinking, None of my friends' parents ask them what they want to be every day. Why is my mom asking me every day?
So it's an Indian thing or my thing, mom thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what would you say?
Yeah. I mean, do you know what you want to be now?
I don't know. Yeah, I know. I want to be a grandma.
Okay. Uh-oh. I'm in trouble.
Yes.
I was just going to say that you'll get your turn someday. Don't worry. What goes around comes around.
I hope so. Someday. And finally, we played a fun game of South Asian Would You Rather with Mukhunth on episode 36. This one was about Halloween. So see if you can figure out which one of us is a fan of horror movies and which one of us isn't. I wanted to play a game with you.
Okay.
It's called South Asian Would You Rather. I'm going to pitch you two alternatives, two scary alternatives, and you got to pick which one you'd rather do.
Okay.
So would you rather watch a horror movie or go to a dinner party and have to tell the aunties and uncles there that you're not going to be a doctor or an engineer?
I've done both, but I don't know if I want to really get into the why. Why don't you want to be a doctor engineer? I would much rather just be at home and watch a nice horror movie.
Yep. I think,
Definitely.
Yeah, that's a good pick. A lot of explanations.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I might pick talking to the aunties and uncles, but that's just because I don't like horror movies.
Oh, really?
But it's close. It's kind of close. I mean, it depends on the horror movie, maybe, but...
Okay. So you would go with that, the horror of dealing with those interactions.
I think so. I can handle that.
Then,
I know I might just get some disappointed looks or some judgment versus jump scares from the nun.
That's fair. That's fair. Fair enough.
Okay, second one. Would you rather volunteer with big cats or go back to India and have every family member ask if you remember them by name?
Oh man. I would definitely volunteer with big cats. I would get as close to them as possible. Because I mean I think I know most relatives' names, but there's gonna be a lot of them that are like, oh, I met you when you were the size of my palm. I'm like,
Yep.
I have no memory from those days.
Right.
So definitely not. What about you? Would you join me on a big cat day or?
If you were doing it, I would go with you on a big cat day.
Okay.
Because I feel like you know what you're doing, and I can learn from you. But if it was just me, I would go back to India and have every family member ask if I can remember their name, which I've had happen.
Would you be successful?
No, I would not. And I'll be honest, I have been called out for it in the past, where sometimes someone will say, "Hey, do you remember me?" And I'll say, "Oh yeah," and they'll say, "Oh cool, what's my name?" And I'll say, "Oh," and then I will say like, "Oh, I remember kind of how we're related," and then we'll go from there. So it's okay, but it is kind of scary to be in that situation.
Right. It's almost like a test.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
It's good that we can just drop in.
Yeah.
It is a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. It's impossible to remember everyone's name, just to be clear. Like there's way too many people, but
right.
All right, number 3.
It's good that we can just drop in an uncle or auntie here and there.
Exactly,
and
that's
fill in
true.
Those gaps.
That's true. Yeah, or an Anna or something.
So and so's brother.
Right. Last one for you. Would you rather stay home alone on Friday the 13th or host someone and not have any chai or coffee to give them?
Oh man, the second one is a nightmare, definitely.
It's brutal.
I don't know if I can. It's brutal.
Yeah, like what do? You give him milk? You warm up milk?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what you would do. I would feel really guilty that I wouldn't have any. At least it's chia chai for me.
Mm-hmm.
But usually I have some coffee to offer.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would definitely stay home on the Friday 13th because I would be too embarrassed to have somebody over and not have at least coffee or chai to offer them. Definitely. That's I think an easy one. What about you?
Yeah, definitely stay home alone on Friday the 13th. I don't find it that scary. Yeah. I mean, but not having chai or coffee available when some relatives come by or friends, that's like an emergency in some ways, right? And you just have to figure it out from there. Try to give them other snacks or have another drink available that'll show them that you care.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I think that's an easy one. Easy choice for both of
Yeah.
us.
Okay. Well, thank you for playing that game. Any
Yeah.
would you rather's that you have?
Yeah, for you, definitely. I have a couple.
Okay.
Would you rather watch a horror film in a theater by yourself at night,
Oof.
or have to go home and learn every single family member's name one by one and be tested if you remember it every year that you visit?
The second, for sure. I would rather go to India and have to learn the names and be tested every year. I can memorize things. I don't know if I want to be sitting in a horror movie, let's say The Nun, by myself. No, thanks. Wait, for how many years, though? Forever?
Until you remember, I guess.
I'll
Until
still
it's,
take that one. I'll take it if it takes me, like, the next 20 years.
Okay. I have another one. Would you rather witness an exorcism
Gosh. Okay. I think I know my answer, but go ahead.
or travel through a trek on your own at nighttime?
What type of trek are we talking?
Just a wilderness trek. You don't know what's out there.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I might take the exorcism.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For some, I mean, you never know. There might be big animals. I won't say big cats, but there might be big animals out on the wilderness.
Right.
And if it's just
right.
me, that's scary. What would you say to those two?
I would take that too. I would take the exorcism as well. I think I'm imagining maybe a stadium. I'm kind of protected. I'm watching this event.
Exactly.
Rather than, like you said, like wild animals or inclement weather.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to handle that.
It's funny with these would you rathers because we picture like the nicest version of them at exorcism, but we're like in the arena somewhere in the back, right? And not like you're right face to face this person. So I do appreciate that we try to make it nicer.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for indulging me in a game of Would You Rather.
Sure.
And we can see the clear divide between you and me in terms of our horror preferences.
I loved that episode, Nikil. And just seeing the two of you go at it, I know you're good friends. It was a lot of fun for me. So those are some of our favorite fun moments from this past year. You can go back and check out any of those episodes or others from our back catalog. We'll link the specific episodes we mentioned today in the show notes.
So Shankar, this is our last episode of the year. Thank you all to all of our listeners for listening. We've had a blast having conversations, sharing them with you, trying to figure out this podcast business and engaging with the community. Follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube, both at Shy Across Generations, and reach out to us over email at shyacrossgenerations@gmail.com. What were some of your favorite moments and fun moments of the year? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you, Nikil, for being such an excellent podcast co-host with me this year. 2023 was really special for me because of that. And we'll see you all next year.
Absolutely. You too, Shankar. Wouldn't want to do this in any other way. We'll see you all next year.